The training yard after midnight felt like a cathedral of shadows and silence. Floodlights cast harsh pools of white across the reinforced concrete, leaving sharp divides between illumination and darkness. Kael stood in the center of one such pool, sweat already beading on his forehead despite the mountain chill. Across from him, Sable moved with predatory grace, her uniform replaced by close-fitting training gear that emphasized every controlled muscle. Again. Her voice carried no warmth. But this time, don't embarrass us both. The bent spoon in his palm trembled as Kael reached for Marcus Webb's stolen power. Weaver abilities felt like trying to thread a needle while wearing mittens, technically possible, but requiring more concentration than he possessed. The metal softened under his influence, molecular bonds loosening, then snapped back to its original shape when his focus wavered. Pathetic. Sable's hard-light blade materialized, casting golden reflections across the concrete. Webb could reshape steel at your age. You can barely manage silverware. Heat flashed through him, not anger, but shame that burned worse than fury. She was right. His stolen abilities were crude approximations, fragments torn from their original context and wielded by someone who'd never earned the knowledge to use them properly. It's not that simple. He wiped sweat from his eyes. These aren't my powers. They're like wearing someone else's clothes, nothing fits right. Then make them fit. Her blade dissolved, reforming as a training staff that she spun with casual expertise. Power without control is just destruction waiting to happen. The spoon crumpled in his grip, crushed by frustration rather than ability. Sable was trying to help, he understood that on an intellectual level. But her training methods felt like controlled torture, designed to expose every weakness in his patchwork arsenal. Try the pulse instead. She stepped back, giving him space. Range and accuracy. I want to know where I am without looking. Kael closed his eyes, extending the stolen signal pulse in a focused wave. The technique came easier than weaving, maybe because it had been taken from an enemy instead of a friend. Resonance flowed outward, painting the training yard in frequencies visible to his enhanced perception. Sable appeared as a blazing constellation of power, her conductor abilities radiating strength that made his teeth ache. But the pulse revealed more than just her location. He could sense the precise configuration of her abilities, the way she channeled energy through specific neural pathways, the elegant efficiency of years of proper training. 15 meters, 2 o'clock. His voice carried new confidence. Standing on the balance beam. Channeling power through your left hand. Good. She stepped down from the beam, moving to a different position. Again. They repeated the exercise a dozen times, Sable moving to increasingly challenging positions, behind cover, elevated surfaces, even pressed against the yard's outer wall where zone interference created signal shadows. Each time, Kael's pulse found her with growing accuracy. That's actually useful. Something approaching approval crept into her tone. In live combat, knowing enemy positions could mean the difference between victory and body bags. Pride warmed him despite the circumstances. For the first time since bonding with the fragment, one of his abilities had earned genuine praise instead of fear or disgust. A training dummy exploded beside them, torn apart by Sable's casual gesture. Hard-light constructs danced around her fingers, not the crude weapons she'd threatened him with, but elegant tools that spoke of artistic precision alongside destructive potential. Your turn. She gestured toward another dummy. Show me what that Weaver fragment can actually accomplish. Kael approached the target with growing confidence. The pulse had worked. Maybe the molecular manipulation would follow suit. He placed both hands against the dummy's reinforced polymer surface, reaching for the stolen power that lived in the spaces between his thoughts. Metal bonds loosened under his touch. The dummy's rigid structure became malleable, flowing like warm clay beneath his influence. He shaped new configurations, armor plating, weapon mounts, structural reinforcements that would have taken a proper weaver minutes to accomplish. Then his concentration slipped. The dummy collapsed into a puddle of gray polymer, its molecular structure reduced to industrial soup. Kael jerked his hands away, but the damage was complete, elegant destruction where controlled modification should have been. Sable laughed. The sound caught him completely off guard. Not mockery or disappointment, but genuine amusement at the spectacular failure. Her usually composed features cracked into something approaching humanity. I did the exact same thing during my first year. She gestured at the polymer puddle. Except it was Commander Torres' favorite coffee mug. I spent a month scrubbing floors. Really? Power is terrifying when you're starting out. Her expression grew thoughtful. The potential to reshape reality sits in your hands, and you have to trust yourself not to break everything you touch. The admission hung between them like a bridge across hostile territory. For a moment, they weren't predator and prey or judge and defendant. They were just two teenagers struggling with forces too large for their understanding. Then Kael's pulse swept outward involuntarily, triggered by some instinct he didn't recognize. The training yard lit up in his enhanced vision like a constellation map, but something was wrong. Dozens of signals approached from the zone's edge, moving fast through terrain that should have been impassable. The perimeter alarm screamed to life.